Israeli airstrikes pound southern Gaza as violence spreads to West Bank. Trump warns Maduro's days are numbered amid rising tensions. UK man charged with attempted murder after train stabbing incident. Nigeria denies genocide allegations as Trump threatens military action. Good afternoon. Welcome to The World in 30 Minutes on Politics and Business Television. I'm Fatima Abubakar Oyibo. Many thanks for joining us. Details of this news stories and more content to come after the short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now the news in details. Tensions in the Middle East escalated further today as Israeli air raids targeted Khan Yunis in southern Gaza, intensifying the humanitarian crisis in the besieged enclave. According to reports, the death toll in Gaza has climbed to 236 since the latest ceasefire was declared, with thousands more injured. The renewed bombardment comes amid Israel's ongoing military campaign against Hamas, which has already claimed over 68,000 lives in Gaza since October 2023. In a separate development, Hamas returned the bodies of 3 captives following a complex search operation in Gaza City. Meanwhile, violence spilled into the occupied West Bank where 2 Palestinians, including a teenager, were killed during clashes with Israeli forces and settlers. The incident occurred in Jenin, a city frequently targeted in Israeli military raids. Palestinian officials have condemned the killings, calling for international intervention as tensions continue to rise across the region. With diplomatic efforts faltering and civilian casualties mounting, global leaders are urging restraint and renewed dialogue to prevent further escalation. Israeli authorities have extended the detention of Major General Yifat Tomer Yerushalmi, the army's former top legal officer, following her admission to leaking surveillance footage showing the alleged gang rape of a Palestinian detainee at the Sde Taiman prison facility. The video, which surfaced in August 2024, sparked outrage across Israel and in the international community, leading to widespread condemnation of the military's handling of detainees. Tomer Yerushalmi, who resigned from her post last week, is now under investigation for breaching national security protocols and obstructing justice. The case took a dramatic turn when police arrested Tomer Yerushalmi on suspicion of staging a suicide attempt to destroy a mobile phone believed to certain incriminating evidence related to the leak. She was found alive and taken into custody after abandoning her car and leaving a note near a beach. The scandal has reignited debates over transparency and accountability within the Israeli military justice system, with human rights groups demanding a full inquiry into the treatment of Palestinian prisoners and the conduct of military personnel. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump has issued a stark warning to Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, declaring that his days are numbered during a televised interview on CBS's 60 Minutes. The statement comes amid a significant buildup of U.S. military assets in the Caribbean, including strikes on alleged drug trafficking vessels and the repositioning of an aircraft carrier near Venezuelan waters. While Trump dismissed the likelihood of war, he accused Maduro's regime of mistreating the U.S. and facilitating mass migration by releasing prisoners into neighboring countries. The remarks have reignited speculation about Washington's intentions in Venezuela, with critics warning of potential push for regime change. Maduro, in response, accused the U.S. of seeking to destabilize its government and exploit Venezuela's vast oil reserves. International observers are closely monitoring the situation as diplomatic tensions rise and humanitarian concerns persist. Trump's comments mark a renewed pressure campaign on Caracas, signaling that the U.S. may intensify its stance in the coming weeks. In another development, a wave of grief and anger has swept through the city of Uruapan in Mexico's Michoacan state following the assassination of Mayor Carlos Alberto Manzo Rodriguez during Day of the Dead festivals. Manzo, known for his outspoken stance against organized crime and government corruption, was shot dead in a public plaza on November 2nd, 2025, in front of dozens of festival goers. The attack also left a city council member and a bodyguard injured before the gunman was reportedly neutralized by security forces. Hundreds of residents dressed in black took to the streets to mourn the slain mayor, chanting "Justice, Justice" out with Morena, a direct rebuke of Mexico's ruling party. President Claudia Sheinbaum condemned the killing as vile, while human rights groups called for an independent investigation into the incident. The assassination has reignited concerns over political violence in Mexico, where local officials are frequently targeted by criminal organizations. As the nation reels from the tragedy, calls for accountability and stronger protections for public servants continue to mount. British authorities have charged 33-year-old Anthony Williams with attempted murder following a violent stabbing aboard a train in Hertfordshire. The incident occurred on November 1st, 2025, during an altercation between two men traveling on a service between Hertford North and Bayford stations. According to police reports, the victim sustained serious injuries and was airlifted to a nearby hospital, where he remains in critical condition. Williams was arrested shortly after the attack and appeared before Hatfield Magistrates Court, where he was formally charged. The British Transport Police confirmed that the investigation is ongoing and have appealed to witnesses for further information. The shocking incident has raised concerns over passenger safety on public transport, prompting calls for increased security measures across the UK rail network. Authorities have assured the public that steps are being taken to prevent similar occurrences. In the meantime, tragedy struck Ukraine once again as Russian missile attacks claimed the lives of several civilians, including children, in a wave of overnight strikes across multiple regions. Ukrainian officials confirmed that residential areas in Kharkiv and Dnipro were among the hardest hit, with homes reduced to rubble and emergency crews working through the night to rescue survivors. The attacks marks one of the deadliest barrages in recent weeks, intensifying global condemnation of Russia's ongoing military campaign. President Volodymyr Zelensky expressed deep sorrow over the loss of innocent lives, calling the strikes acts of terror and urging international allies to bolster Ukraine's air defense systems. Human rights organizations have also denounced the targeting of a civilian infrastructure, warning that the psychological toll on children and families is mounting. As Ukraine mourns its youngest victims, calls for accountability and stronger global intervention continue to echo across diplomatic cycles. It's watching The World in 30 Minutes live on Politics and Business Television. Still to come, Delhi earthquake strikes northern Afghanistan, claims over 20 lives. Stay with us. Welcome back. Iranian officials have stated that the country is not in a hurry to return to nuclear negotiations with the United States, signaling a continued stalemate in efforts to revive the 2015 nuclear deal. The remarks, delivered by Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson, reflect Tehran's frustration with what it describes as Washington's inconsistent approach and failure to lift economic sanctions. While both sides have expressed interest in diplomacy, Iran insists that any talks must be based on mutual respect and concrete guarantees. The statement comes amid heightened regional tensions and growing international concern over Iran's expanding nuclear program. Western powers have urged Tehran to re-engage in dialogue, warning that time is running out to prevent further escalation. However, Iranian leaders maintain that pressure tactics will not yield result and that the U.S. must first demonstrate goodwill as diplomatic channels remain strained. The future of the nuclear accord hangs in the balance, with global stakeholders watching closely and leaving dozens more injured. The tremor, which registered a magnitude of 6.3 on the Richter scale, hit early Monday morning near the city of Faizabad in Badakhshan province. Local officials report widespread damage to homes and infrastructure. Is already grappling with economic instability and limited disaster response capacity. Hospitals in the region are overwhelmed and survivors have been treated in makeshift shelters amid freezing temperatures. The United Nations and aid organizations have mobilized resources to support relief efforts, while neighboring countries have expressed condolences condolences and offered support as aftershocks will continue to rattle the region. Authorities warn residents to remain vigilant and prioritize safety. Back to Africa, the Nigerian government has firmly rejected allegations of a Christian genocide following recent comments by U.S. President Donald Trump, who threatened military intervention if the country fails to address what he described as religious persecution. In a statement issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Nigeria called the claims unfounded and inflammatory, stressing that the country remains committed to religious freedom and the protection of all citizens regardless of faith. The government also urged the international community to rely on verified data and diplomatic engagement rather than sensational rhetoric. Trump's remarks posted on Truth Social have sparked global concern and diplomatic tensions, with the former U.S. president instructing the Pentagon to prepare for possible action against Nigeria. Nigerian officials have condemned the statement as a breach of international protocol and an affront to national sovereignty. Analysts warn that such threats could destabilize regional peace and undermine ongoing counterterrorism efforts. As calls for restraints grow louder, both nations face mounting pressure to resolve the dispute through dialogue and mutual respect. Tanzania's President Samia Suluhu Hassan has officially been sworn in for a second term following a contentious election marked by violence and widespread unrest. The inauguration ceremony, held in Dodoma, came just days after the country's electoral commission declared Hassan the winner with an overwhelming 98% of the vote. The election, however, was marred by deadly clashes between security forces and opposition supporters, as well as nationwide internet blackout that raised concerns over transparency and voter suppression. International observers and human rights groups have condemned the violence and called for an independent investigation into the conduct of the polls. Despite the controversy, President Hassan pledged to unite the country and prioritize economic recovery and national security in her new term. Opposition leaders have rejected the result, accusing the ruling party of electoral fraud and intimidation. As tensions simmer, the global community continues to monitor the situation, urging dialogue and democratic accountability in Tanzania's political process. And that wraps up the program, but before we go, the headlines again. Israeli airstrikes pound southern Gaza as violence spreads to West Bank. Trump warns Maduro days are numbered amid rising tensions. UK man charged with attempted murder after train stabbing incident. And Nigeria denies genocide allegations as Trump threatens military action. For more updates and in-depth analysis, follow Politics and Business TV.English on YouTube and Facebook. Connect with us on Instagram at PMBTV_English and TikTok at PMBTV_ENG. Remember to subscribe and stay informed. From me, Fatima Abubakar Oyibo, to have a lovely day. Bye for now.